Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Constable Collis Chucky Brown is expected to be sentenced today. Constable Brown's sentencing was postponed on 2 previous occasions. Presiding Judge Vivian Harris has ordered that those persons who have contributed to the social inquiry and probationary reports should be at the sentencing hearing. Constable Brown was convicted on November 15 last year. He was convicted of the January 10, 2009 murder of Damian Gotti Dawkins and the December 13, 2012 murders of Dwayne Douglas and Andrew Ferron. Both incidents happened in Clarendon. And in Clarendon, 3 persons were shot and killed in 2 separate incidents yesterday. The latest happened about 5:13 in the afternoon in Mineral Heights. Police say a motor car was driving along Mineral Heights Boulevard heading in the direction of the sewage plant. The driver reportedly stopped and parked. Shortly after, explosions were heard, and later the bodies of 25-year-old Amoy McNally of Penguin Key in Maypen and an unidentified man were found. It's understood that Miss McNally was found outside the driver's door while the man was seen in the passenger seat. No motive has been established. Meanwhile, the administration of the Effortville Primary School is reporting low attendance today following the fatal shooting of a peanut vendor near the school yesterday morning. Only 27% of the students turned up for classes today. 39-year-old Alvin Russell, otherwise called T-Bag of Evans Avenue in Effortville, was shot about 9:45 in the morning at the Effortville Community Center. The incident left the students at the primary school traumatized, and they had to be dismissed early yesterday. A St. Thomas woman is upset with the National Water Commission over a leak in pumping station, which she says caused her daughter to contract the dengue virus. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, who toured the parish on Thursday, says St. Thomas continues to record increased dengue cases. TVJ Shamela Pullen reports.
100 suspected dengue cases recorded in St. Thomas so far this year, a nearly 100% increase when compared to the same period last year. Samantha Foster says the dengue outbreak is even more worrying because situations like these, which create breeding sites for the dengue-carrying mosquitoes. She explained that the Ingleston pumping station across from her home has been leaking for months.
From last year, June, we have this problem with the water getting from the loading dock, where the truck come and collect the water to serve to the people in the area. Whenever they come, the pipe constantly running night and day.
Ms. Foster says her daughter is now sick with dengue and has been at home for the past 3 weeks.
Go to the doctor, it's confirmed that it's dengue she has. And I went to the office in Martley. I laid multiple complaints and nothing has been done about the situation. The situation cannot continue like that. You have workmen from Water Commission who visit the premises every day and they turn a blind eye to the situation. And now my family is suffering from dengue, which is not fair.
TVJ News contacted the National Water Commission, which said it did not know about the issue and would have to investigate. Meanwhile, following a tour of St. Thomas on Thursday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton raised concern about the lack of piped water in many sections of the parish. He says this would create more mosquito breeding sites.
So most persons who have tanks, drums, if you don't cover these utensils, then clearly breeding takes place. And then there are some low-lying areas also where water easily gathers and it creates the breeding, and solid waste, which is an ongoing challenge. So the team is vigilant and I've encouraged them to continue to work hard.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
The All-Ireland Jamaica Cane Farmers Association is unhappy with the government's decision to transport sugar cane from the Motorist factory in Clarendon to the Appleton Sugar Factory in St. Elizabeth for processing. The decision was made despite proposals from cane farmers for Motorist to continue operations. In a news release yesterday, the Agriculture Ministry said it will help to transport up to 105,000 tonnes of sugar cane from the Motorist and Bernard Lodge sugar factories for processing at the Appleton and Worthy Park sugar factories in St. Catherine. President of the All-Ireland Jamaica Cane Farmers Association, Alan Rickards, reacted to the announcement.
Therefore, Since the modus of this whole discussion and the way in which the ministry has replied or not replied to us officially, we are forced to believe that this decision was taken long ago and that in fact our discussions with the ministry was just a face card. This is what we find disappointing.
And Mr. Rickers is questioning the cost presented by the Agriculture Ministry to rehabilitate and operate the Money Musk sugar factory. In a release yesterday, the ministry said it would require between $600 and $800 million to operate the factory. Mr. Rickard says it would cost significantly less.
Repair the factory would be, as we submitted, round about the costs stated in that release to the movement of the cane. The rest of the financing would be an advance awaiting the proceeds of the sale of the sugar so produced. And when we do the mathematics using conservative estimates, the difference would be no more than $300 million in terms of the shortfall between expenditure and income from sugar.
There's a call for the Students' Loan Bureau to do more to increase its take-up rate. Despite diversifying its loan offerings, it was revealed at Wednesday's sitting of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee meeting that a significant number of students are opting not to take SLB loans to fund their tertiary education. TVJ's Janella Precious reports.
Hundreds of students being deregistered from university, but not all are running to the Students' Loan Bureau for rescue.
The majority of these students that are in trouble you are not seeing them come to the Student Loan Bureau.
Well, I guess some of them would have come, but not a whole lot.
Speaking at Wednesday's PAAC, Executive Director of the Student Loan Bureau, Monica Brown, said 98% of persons who apply for student loans are approved. But here's what the numbers also show. Of the over 19,000 students who attend the University of the West Indies in Mona, less than 23% takes a loan from the SLB. At the University of Technology, there are over 12,000 students with 32% of student loan.
The student's loan is likely to be the first major transaction that someone graduating from high school will enter into. So even though they will know about the concept of the student's loan, there is a fear which comes from not understanding how these things work. So we find, for instance, that we have to sometimes encourage students to say, no, you will be able to pay back this money when you have graduated, because they are fearful that they can't meet that commitment.
They are loan averse in terms of investing in their own education.
So the majority of those entering the university
do not apply.
They come on their own financing.
There are a number of students who are not interested in getting a loan to pay their tuition, although they have no other financial arrangement to pay their fees. They are not interested in getting loans in a number of cases because it would appear they do not want to have the responsibility of paying back debt. So they leave students' loan as a last resort.
The SLB is being encouraged to identify its public relations campaign with a view to increasing its take-up rate. Andrew Laidley, TVJ News.
And of course, that was Andrew Laidley, not Janella Precious. Motorists using the Edward Seaga Highway will be paying more come February 1. A statement from the Transport Ministry said the rates will go up by an average 6%. But not all legs will see an increase. The cost to use a segment from Angels to Spanish Town to Linstead will decline. There will be no change for the rates to the Caymanas to Angels leg. News in sports. Jamaican track and field athletes as well as athletics local governing body, the J3As, are set to come with increased anti-doping scrutiny from the IAAF. This follows a change by the world governing body to its anti-doping policies. More from TVJ's Jermaine Brown.
A newly created anti-doping classification system for all IAAF member federations is set to place Jamaican athletes under increased scrutiny and put greater responsibility on the local governing body, the J3As. The renamed Athletics Integrity Unit, formerly the IAAF Anti-Doping Unit, has moved to categorize member nations based on their anti-doping risk.
And what they have done is that they have reworked Rule 15 in the anti-doping rules. And the reworking of this Rule 15 has categorized federations according to their anti-doping risk. And it's categorized as according to A, B, or C. If you are categorized as risk category A, you are said to have a low risk. Category B, you have a moderate risk, and category C, you have a severe risk of anti-doping issues. Now, the classification, you are placed in each category based on the number of athletes that you regularly send to international events and the number of anti-doping cases that you have over the years and the number of anti-doping issues as well.
But what does the Category B classification mean for Jamaica and its athletes?
Now, this categorization means that the federation, and for us, we now have to know all the agents that our athletes have. And we now have to maintain a list and a database of all of them. And we now have to see and ensure that all senior athletes, especially the ones going to world events, that they have gotten anti-doping education. And we have to ensure that they go to at least 1 or 2 education talks.
But in addition to increased mandatory anti-doping education and whereabout rules sessions and seminars, athletes will also be asked to report suspicious practices of fellow athletes and coaches, unlike before.
And I've looked at it, and it shows some holes in what we used to do before, because one of the things they have now asked us to put in place is a hotline whereby if athletes see anything funny going on, they can pick up the hotline, call someone and said, hey, I think X or Y is violating the anti-doping rules. So we're now encouraging the athletes to be whistleblowers as well. We never had anything like that before.
This means the J3As will have to work closer with the local anti-doping governing body, JADCO. But interestingly, JADCO says they are yet to receive official briefing from the J3As on the new anti-doping classification, but stands ready to assist.
I'm having courtesy visits with sporting organizations. So I suspect once I have seen this report, there may be ways in which I'm pretty certain in short order I can assist J3s to be in the A category.
The new IAAF anti-doping classification took effect on January 1, 2019. Jermaine Brown reporting for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.